All right, check, check, radio check. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedules. I'm going to go ahead and share screen now. This is, our first market update for 2025. And really, this is a reflection of what really happened. Because remember, we're always doing a rear view mirror look over our shoulder, Monday day quarterback review. So, although it might seem like, well, we already know that, but I do think that some of the data that we see will start to, add, clarity or give insight to what should we be looking for this year. And so when I pulled up, this is, remember the equities component. There are different indices that are shown here. And 1 month for December, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. Where I wanted to get to was this chart. And there's a couple points I wanted to touch base on. And the first is, the S&P, the US markets, it did really well, right? So if you're in the market in S&Ps, US companies, you did well. And then, even the Dow Jones, the purple did well, and the Russell. So the top three for the year were US based. And that brings me to a point because the pink and the teal, so commodities, right? We always know that those are going to fluctuate. But the teal is emerging markets, and I view that as China, right? These are international, these are growth oriented, and we're going to talk about that a little bit on the next slide. And then 3.51 was Europe, right? So the reason this is relevant, and what I don't want to do here, this is not political. This is purely economical, but it is what it is. And as we head into with this new administration, right? This is what a book that when I have windshield time, I actually just listened to this, and I'm still going through it. But the book is called No Trade is Free: Changing Course, Taking on China and Helping American Workers. So America is the first country in history to fund the rise of its rivals. We need to stop now. So Robert Lighthizer was the U.S. Trade Representative, and in 2017 he took on China head on. But he's led a great reset of American trade policy, and it's endured across administrations. He's got over 40 years. He's an attorney. He understands this. I have learned more just listening to this book than I ever knew about trade. I didn't understand what free trade was. And now that the World Trade Organization was created and how that entire system has been gained at Americans' expense. And one of the things that really jumped out at me, and it actually angered me, is how we are being positioned to absolutely we're being taken advantage of, and we will actually be in jeopardy. So one of the things that came out yesterday, the new administration, President Trump signed an executive order, but it is the mandate that they will start to bring back jobs, manufacturing to the United States. Products will be made here, right? So he's going on that initiative. And you're going to hear a lot on the news, a lot of talking heads, a lot of opinions, and I try not to get caught up in that. What I try and listen to is go do my research, and this is one of them. And so when he cited facts, when he cited this is not politically motivated, this was just saying, hey, here's the history. And I was sort of neutral towards China, and I thought, sort of from a global standpoint. But what I've started to see is how they, again, if you sit back and start to listen to some of the cases they've cited, the land that they've bought here, next to military bases, the spying that's going on, the theft, it is endless. Like I said, I've actually become angry And then you couple that with, that they have set up communist police stations in Manhattan. They threaten, I mean, you talk about humanitarian violations, you talk about genocide and some of the exploitation. So if you're Chinese and you're over here and you don't do what they ask, they will absolutely kill your family. It's not even a joke, right? So I point that out because as we start to look at where should our money go, right? I have to contend to, on a go forward, think that the US is on an upward trajectory for our money, for our companies, bringing manufacturing back. And I think that as we if we can just get aside from just be one country and just start to work together to say, hey, for our children, for our grandchildren, right, to create an environment where common sense is really just sort of the word of the day, and that's really what I wanted to share here. So if you're not a reader, I pick it up on Audible, and like I said, I'm listening to it, and I was fascinated. So let's look at what this means. Though we still have a red line that got triggered right at January 2025. So that does not mean the sky is falling, but it does mean be careful. The last 3 or 4 days, I've seen, the all the markets have been upward trends, and so as you start looking at it and you're seeing your accounts grow and you're seeing this, we may see some volatility. But the other thing is that last time when Trump got into office, he created Space Force, and I almost rolled my eyes. I was like, it sounds fictitious, it sounds made up. But now I went down to DC last year and I saw people in uniform, Space Force. I was like, oh my God, this is real. And then, now they have, and you saw, from the pulpit the other day, three billionaires donating 500 billion towards open AI. And now that they've created Stargate, and again, I think of the movie, right? I'm a science fiction fan. I like, so this stuff resonates, and I'm like, is this stuff really going to move in this direction? So as we start thinking about where to put our money, where to invest, anything that is sort of moving in that direction, tech, AI, and if it's US based, I think we'll have a northward trajectory. That's just my opinion based on some of what I see right now in the landscape. So I just wanted to share that with you. Again, I'm not giving specific names other than I am looking at a company because I had not heard of this. And this is not investment advice. So do your own research, do your own, that's my disclosure. But I had heard, it's called quantum mechanics or quantum physics. And as I looked at that, the symbol was QBTS or D wave. And so this will start to take, one of the things I heard the other day when they were talking about AI and open AI, the sort of the constraints that will be there is that bandwidth capacity. So the cloud doesn't currently have enough bandwidth or capacity to go to where they want to. So that's going to be a direct result of where they start to figure it out. And that's why this quantum sort of computing is where they're sort of the direction they're going. The other thing I heard today is that signed in by executive order is this creation of the US is now, I think, trying to be a leader in crypto and digital currency. I am still very much a laggard in this arena. I'm very skeptical and very, slow. If somebody wants to do it on their own, fine. But I do think that if we can get out there in front and create an environment, be a leader in this industry, that, there are areas where money can be made, but, again, do your own research, be safe when it comes to this. So that's on the equities component. And I just wanted to share that, that I think, in my opinion, and I typically will give this at the beginning of the year every year, is that we will have a robust 2025. I think there will be some volatility, but I think that there's a new sheriff in town. They're going back to a no nonsense policy. And whether you like them or not, we're all Americans together, and we really have to understand that It's like if my neighbor, I may not like my neighbor, but if somebody tried to break into their house, I would absolutely help them out. So that's the sort of philosophy. I just wanted to sort of share that. Now when it comes to income. So, again, we're specialists in the income arena. We watch this market, and again, for 1 month, I say, hey, listen, this is why now, if you're in an area that has an income generating portfolio and you see negative returns and you had built a portfolio where you needed 4%, this could be troubling because not only did we need 4%, but the investments didn't keep up. So you could have a cannibalization of the asset as you start to pull or draw income from it. But when you look at the whole year, it's the area was the powder blue, which is high yield munis, which again, people that are starved for income or looking for a place to create income right now, that's where they're going to is junk bonds. Again, junk means above average risk because everything else in the pack is right around the zero mark. So when you look at that and you go, man, if I'm on a fixed income, I'm trying to not consume my principal, my capital, and still maintain and have it roll in the income stream. This is why seniors will start to shift into some type of equity or dividend type portfolio. But again, that comes with more risk, right? So and we're of the philosophy of professional planning services. Let's reduce risk as we get into retirement. So as we look at this just shows me that I think interest rates are going to stay in start to gravitate eventually back to 6 and 7, much like they were in the late 70s, 80s, and what was historically, 5, 6, 7%. Mortgage rates right now are high. They've in excess of 7%. And so who can afford that? I was just watching, CNBC and looking at they had a CEO of rebuilding California, the fires that are out there, the monumental task, cleanup, housing of the people that have been displaced, manufacturing, rebuilding, insurance. I mean, there are so many layers and components. I mean, people's lives are devastated. They don't have housing for people. The first thing they have to do is create a place where you have a roof over your head. So how do you do that? How do you take all these people that are displaced and give them some place to live, to hang their hats? That then if you say, okay, now we're going to clean up this land, that's monumental. They said even without regulations, with all the California laws, even if they rescind that and they start to play nice, we are still looking 12, 18, 24 months just to clean up. So that's even before a rebuild starts. And now even if insurance, you get paid a claim and now you start to rebuild, now you're out 3, 4, 5 years without a home, right? So this is going to be a story for Trump's entire administration. We need to help our Californians out and start to think about what happens if that happens in our area. We've already gone through it as New Jerseyans, Hurricane Sandy. You look at now the cold front that just went through Tennessee, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, Florida, unprecedented snow levels, right? It has politics aside. We have to make sure that that our communities are that we're thinking clearly, that helping each other out, planning for the unexpected. That's really my message there. I don't know what the future holds, and all we can do right now is pray. And if you have the resources and ability and the wherewithal, maybe you can donate to a charitable foundation that can help direct those funds to help people. But right now, there are people that just because they're on the opposite coast, that they're in need. And so, just that's why I always say, hey, hug the ones you're with. We are very blessed, and as a country, and I still believe, as an American, as a vet, that we live in the greatest country in the world. And to keep it that way, we have to all play on one team, right? So there's going to be a lot of mudslinging, a lot of people that are disgruntled, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, but let's put all that aside, and like I said, if Sun Tzu, I listen to it in The Art of War. Even your enemy, if you're in a boat and you're both drowning, will work together to salvage everybody. So that's the sort of philosophy that I like to adopt, is that, one day at a time, let's go into this, next day together, because it is a, it's not guaranteed. And so when we look at making money and we look at, hey, where are our investments? What happens if I were to flip these charts upside down, right? And next year, negative 24%. Next year, our incomes or the income portfolios are, maybe 5, 6, 7%. So it's very hard to catch up and say, hey, should I bet on red or should I bet on black, with roulette? All we can do is have strategies to say, hey, based on all the information that we have, this seems to be a good plan to get us to where we want to go. And that's why I continue to do this, to share with you that it's not about a day to day, because again, the news outlets will just spook us, right? I have to turn the TV off because the negativity is endless, and I can't live like that. I have to be like, okay, little glimmers of information to me, and then I go out and do my own research to come up with my own opinions. So again, we have a little bit of a red line here for this, and it's still just downward pressure. So it's not that the bond market is bad. It's just that we will see volatility. But here's a silver lining. So remember, we have a chart called the Recession Probability Analytic Tool. It's no guarantee. It's not a crystal ball. But for the last couple months, almost all of 2024 and into 2025, right, we had above the 50 percentile. And if you're above 50 percentile, now it's like risk on or risk off. And to me, it was red. So it's like, hey, danger, Will Robinson. Let's be careful. Well, right now, it dropped to 29.4. So there are signs, as much as we might have some red lines, there are signs that are promising. And like I said, just looking at the markets now in January, remember, this is for December. So looking at the markets for January, we are just turning around and going, you know what? Things are looking better, and I believe let's stay invested. But let's just keep our eyes on the gauges. So hopefully that made sense and I didn't ramble too much. And again, I try and be neutral with my opinions, but I just, again, I always try and be genuine as well. And again, if there's anything I can do for any of you, I would appreciate all of you. I thank you for taking time out of your day and your time, and look forward to seeing you. Call me if you need me.